Yeah, I mean, truly, again, democratizing the ability for anyone to shop sustainably is truly our mission. Today, like you mentioned, I mean, you hit the nail on the head in that, it's truly something that historically has been something that those with disposable income are really only able to do, in that products are more expensive on average, and it's really quite complicated. And so we're really trying to simplify and really democratize this entire process.
Welcome to Mindful Businesses, presented by Sarani, and I'm your host, Vidya Iyer. In our podcast, we bring to you brands which are mindful in their practices and processes. A mindful business adopts and employs sustainable social, economic, and environmental practices. Today, we talk with Dane Baker, founder of Ecocart, Sustainable Shopping Simplified. Welcome, Dane.
Thank you so much, Vidya. It's great to be here and great to chat with you.
Online shopping has grown, especially in the past year with the COVID-19. What % of the purchases does an individual in the US conduct online?
Yeah.
Do you have some statistics for us?
Yeah, I do. And so, I'm seeing a lot of different numbers out there. I'm seeing some really jarring statistics like, just this year alone, e-commerce adoption is accelerated 5 years into the future. We've basically, the rate that we were going in terms of e-commerce adoption, we wouldn't have seen that what we see today for an additional 5 years if it wasn't for what happened this year with COVID-19 and the shutdowns and making everything really go online. So it's just been a crazy year for the industry, and we're really excited to be a part of it.
Yeah, there are some of the statistics that I heard were that there was a 37% jump in Q3 in the e-commerce sales in the US. That's a lot. And how did people manage? How did the technology cope? We all know how Zoom has changed, and many other platforms which we hadn't heard about have just emerged. And even in my personal context, when I would send people a link to join the podcast a year and a half ago and explain to them the setup, people would be frustrated. They would be like, "Are you sure you can't just do this on a phone? I can call you and we can record," or, some other ways. Now it's like, "Oh, no big deal. Tell me where the link is." The use of technology for every aspect of our life has changed.
Absolutely. Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Who were the first retailers to popularize e-commerce, in your opinion?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that, very early in the early 2000s, maybe even late 90s, what we saw was, of course, Amazon pop up and really become the everything bookstore. In addition to that, really in the kind of the same time, you saw Zappos, which took a revolutionary idea such as buying shoes and putting that online. And I think I was listening recently to a podcast by the late Tony Hsieh, and I was hearing how he's talking about it, in that, one of the main, I guess, driving forces behind him wanting to do this is that he saw such, because initially, you wouldn't think that shoes or really anything that you had to try on would be popular to buy online, especially in the 90s. And so one stat that drove him to kind of embark on this journey, so to speak, is that he saw such high adoption for shoe purchasing among catalog orderers. And so he took that and he applied that to e-commerce, and it was just such a fantastic match made in heaven. And Zappos ultimately was acquired by Amazon a few years later. So yeah, it was really, those are the kind of the two pioneers that I see in my mind. I'm sure there's other examples, but those are probably the two that are top of mind for me.
And what he foresaw was a consumer's comfort in buying something, even a pair of shoes, without physically seeing them. And Tony Hsieh said that Zappos is a customer service company which happens to sell shoes. So that was his mantra. And that is sort of what Amazon, in some ways, you have speedy delivery, you have no questions asked returns. The customer service is faultless for Amazon in most cases.
Absolutely. It's crucially important.
When I received your email to come on the podcast, I went to your website and I started looking for a physical product, right? But there was none. This is the first digital product that we are featuring. What is that you do?
Absolutely. And it's an honor, quite honestly, to be the first digital product that you feature. So thank you. First and foremost, we started the business really around the mission to make the fight against climate change easy, affordable, and accessible so that everyone can do their part. We realized there was this huge need and want among consumers to live a more sustainable life, but there really wasn't an easy, convenient, and accessible solution. And so what we did was we created Ecocart, and what Ecocart is today is a product that any consumer, any user can install into their Chrome browser. That essentially does two things. It calculates and then offsets the carbon footprint of their online purchases at over 10,000 of our brand partners today. And we do so by looking at a few factors of each order, such as the shipping distance, the package weight, and the product type. And that drives our calculation to be able to calculate the carbon footprint. And then we take what we receive from our brand partners in terms of an affiliate commission, and we take that small amount of money and then we donate it to these carbon offset projects. We're buying certified carbon offsets on behalf of our customers' purchases. And these certified carbon offsets come in the form of projects. And so these projects include planting trees, saving
Mhm.
forests, so they're forestry projects. They're building wind farms, sustainable agriculture, building water purifiers for local Cambodians, many different, a real plethora of categories when it comes down to our projects. And we're really, really excited about the work that our project sponsors are doing. And that's really how EcoCart works in a nutshell.
That's fascinating. So basically, first I go to EcoCart and install it. It says add to your Chrome browser and it's free. Every time I use my Chrome browser to go to any website, does it work on any website? If I go to walmart.com, if I go to target.com, if I go to Amazon, are you able to calculate on any website or it works only if it's your brand partner?
Yes, we're working on it. To be honest, we launched the product about 2 months ago now, and now we have over 2,500, almost 3,000 users today. And so we're growing really quickly. But we did just launch. We are brand new, and we're working on establishing these brand partners with as many different retailers as we possibly can. We're having conversations. We're knocking on doors to retailers, so to speak, and trying to get them on board as a partner of ours. And we're slowly but surely making progress. Today we have over 10,000 brand partners and growing every day. And ultimately we'll get to a point where we'll be able to function, so to speak, on all websites across the internet. Not necessarily just our partners, but today it is limited to our partners. But we do have over 10,000 brand partners today with big name brands that we all kind of know and love: Sephora, Ulta, Glossier, Levi's, Ted Baker, et cetera, et cetera. The list kind of goes on. Kohl's, for example. So you can really find something for everyone on our extension. And we want to be able to really just democratize the ability to shop sustainably and live sustainably via online purchases with EcoCart.
So, how did you come up with this idea? Are you a techie?
Yeah, yeah. So myself, not so much. I can't sit down and write, lines of code. Unfortunately, we do have, our team is really the kind of all stars on that front to really handle that for us. But, the idea kind of stemmed from, it was just such a complexity to live a sustainable life and shop sustainably. And so what we did was we initially launched EcoCart we started the company about 2 years ago now. We launched our first product, which was a Shopify app that any merchant can install into their Shopify store to give their customers the opportunity to make their orders carbon neutral at checkout. And so it operates in really the same fashion as our Chrome extension that we've been talking about. And we launched that. We have over 300 businesses using the platform today. So really excited about that traction as well. And throughout the time of us operating that, we saw such amazing consumer adoption in that, close to 1 in 3 consumers on average made their orders carbon neutral and opted into the Ecocart option at checkout. And so we figured this was just such a fantastic opportunity for us to build a consumer product. And so therefore, that's really how the idea for the Chrome extension came about, the Chrome plugin, in that, we wanted to augment our impact by not limiting ourselves to the Shopify platform, by, enabling any consumer to install Ecocart for free and be able to shop more sustainably and make a bigger impact across the internet, because we do have the ability to secure more partnerships with the retailers and have it be a mutually beneficial relationship between us and our partners, as well as us and our users as well. So it was kind of a match made in heaven, and all driven by the fact that we saw really the data showed consumers were in need of a feature and an option like this to be able to shop sustainably.
So, how do you find the brands? You have a sales team which goes and makes these calls and they convince the brands to adopt you. How does it work? Because when you say the brands have adopted, so now if I go to Sephora's website, right? What do I see? How do I know Ecocart is there?
Yeah, so what you'll see across all of our brand partners is as soon as Ecocart, as soon as you're shopping on any of our brand partners, you'll see Ecocart pop up, and it'll essentially prompt you to make your order carbon neutral by simply clicking a button. And so, if you go to Kohl's, you'll see us, etc. And, that's kind of really how it works. We focused heavily on making the experience very seamless. So the customer doesn't have to think about anything. They're shopping like normal. They just click the button, they make their order carbon neutral, and we handle the rest. We take care of donating to the right projects that you select yourself as a consumer. So you can choose the project that you would like to donate all your funds to. And then we really handle the rest all the way through the process. And so it's very easy, very, very simple, convenient, and it's completely free. So that's kind of how we focused on the user experience from the beginning. There's also an important feature that we love and we're wanting to really focus on and double down on, which is the ability to discover different brands. And so within our actual extension interface, so if you click the kind of Ecocart plain logo within your URL bar, it'll pop open our interface, which you can then scroll through and see all of the brand partners that we work with today. And we're working on, making this a platform for discovering new brands that you may not have known about before, that are inherently sustainable and helping you aid in your journey for shopping sustainably and living a carbon neutral life.
And I must add, Dane, as you were answering the question, I went to Ecocart, added the extension, and went to Kohl's, and I see it. Shop sustainably. And it took literally, a minute for me to do this while you were just explaining to me walking me through how it's done. And it's that simple. I didn't realize how easy it is, shop sustainably now. And, in some ways, you're doing a little bit of what we at Mindful Businesses want to do too. We not only want to bring entrepreneurs and businesses and founders to showcase what they do, to share with other businesses, but we also want to introduce green practices to the consumers by showcasing new, innovative, and sustainable products.
Absolutely. No, I appreciate that. It is, incredibly simple, straightforward, convenient. That's really kind of how we built it from the very beginning, with those core pillars in mind, because we do want to genuinely democratize the ability for anyone to live and shop sustainably.
And I like the word democratize because often when you have to go, or if you have to purchase a green soap or a green toilet paper roll, often they are more expensive. And I've asked this question to my guests. I said, your products are far more expensive than an average product, which is not sustainable. Do you think you need to have disposable income to live a sustainable life? But what you're doing is you are giving people ways to be able to contribute in their own little way, not really paying anything more, but in a way that the merchants who you work with, they are able to give back a percent of their earnings to set off carbon footprint.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think that's a really important point you raise, because, yeah, I mean, truly, again, democratizing the ability for anyone to shop sustainably is truly our mission. Today, like you mentioned, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. It's truly something that historically has been those with disposable income are really only able to do, in that products are more expensive on average, and it's really quite complicated. And so we're really trying to simplify and really democratize this entire process. And then also the point about merchants actually paying extra to offset the carbon footprint of their customers' orders is a really important piece. In that the brands are really, they're paying this kind of commission, so to speak, to partners across the industry. And what we're doing is we're just using that commission for good in the world by donating it directly to these carbon offset projects. And so kind of in a roundabout way, the brands themselves are kind of being, so to speak, forced a little bit to pay a little bit more to actually make for a sustainable shopping experience for their customers. And we're helping facilitate that. And we're really, really proud and happy about that.
Yeah, and even if brands wanted to do it, it is really cumbersome, right? To figure out for your each package what the carbon footprint is. How do I offset it? Do I go to this place and do this? And most companies now, large companies, have a sustainability agenda. I don't know when it started, but now that I'm researching and talking about this, I came across that. So in some ways, you're facilitating, though there is a cost to them. I think it's simplifying the whole process of living a better, greener, and sustainable life and business.
Absolutely.
Okay, first let's talk about how do you estimate the carbon footprint?
So we had to balance from a product perspective. We really had, in an engineering challenge perspective, we had to balance the ability to plug in, so to speak, into as many different shopping experiences as we possibly could. We had to balance that with the ability to be as comprehensive and accurate in our estimate as we possibly could. The solution that we kind of came up with is looking at a few factors that common in every single checkout experience. And we look at the shipping distance of any individual order coming from A to B. We look at the package weight of that individual order, and the product type that's being purchased, and that what comprises any individual order. And with those few factors, we're able to calculate, I mean, truly it is estimate, so it's not 100% accurate. It's nearly impossible to accurately calculate the carbon footprint of really anything. It is, at the end of the day, an estimate, but it is a really good estimate for the balance that I mentioned earlier. And so that's kind of how we calculate the carbon footprint. And with that, we then translate it to a dollar amount, because we're able to buy these certified carbon offset projects, which come in the form of, are sold in units of dollars per ton. And so along with that, there's kind of some mathematical magic going on, but the ultimate output is a dollar amount for any purchase to be completely carbon neutral. And that's kind of how Ecocart is powered.
Fascinating. It's really fascinating. So we have a lot of new terminologies here: carbon offset, carbon footprint, and carbon neutral. When I ship a package, I am creating a carbon footprint.
Exactly.
You then translate it into figure how much carbon offset I need to contribute to become carbon neutral.
That's
Is that
exactly
correct?
right. You got it. The carbon offset piece is something that's quite complex. It is something that was new to us even before we started the business. In that a carbon offset really is just a way to measure 1 ton of carbon dioxide or other greenhouse gases being removed from the environment via some activity. And those activities come in the form of projects. And so these projects that we work with today, like I mentioned, planting trees, protecting forests, building wind farms, sustainable agriculture projects, all of these projects are what drives these carbon offsets. And so that's really kind of the vehicle with which we make an order carbon neutral, because what we're doing is we're first calculating how much of a carbon footprint that individual purchase had. And then we are able to buy these carbon offsets that represent that exact carbon footprint to then neutralize the carbon footprint, making it then carbon neutral by definition.
And Ecocart has eco points. What is that?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked, Vijay. Yeah, absolutely. So Eco Points is a way for us to reward our users. So first, kind of the core functionality of Ecocart as a product is that it makes your orders carbon neutral. But we wanted to take it a step further and reward our most loyal users by giving them Eco Points. And so with every purchase that you make on one of our brand partner websites, not only do you get your order made carbon neutral for you for free, of course, but you also get what are called Eco Points. And we've created these Eco Points, and with them you can redeem them for earth-saving rewards, such as planting more trees or giving clean water to families. And you can do all of that right within our extensions interface. And so that's kind of the whole Eco Point idea. Furthermore, you can even kind of use your Eco Points for cash by using them and redeeming them for gift cards at your favorite stores. So there's really both sides to it. But Eco Points as a whole are really meant to be this kind of loyalty program for our most active users to be able to have an additional benefit, a tangible benefit for their purchases.
And anything to make people adopt and think about being sustainable and shopping sustainably.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I think that that's a really, really important part of it. It's really staying top of mind for consumers and for users because not often is it that living a sustainable lifestyle is on your mind at every point of the day, right? There's other competing priorities in our mind that we have to just kind of deal with on a day-to-day basis, and we wanted to make it so you kind of have to don't even think about shopping sustainably, in that Ecocart is there whenever you're shopping. It prompts you, it reminds you whenever you're shopping at one of our brands to make your order carbon neutral. There's no further action needed on your end other than a single click to make your order carbon neutral. And so we wanted to just kind of put shopping sustainably on autopilot for as many people as we possibly could, so that it can really not distract people from their day-to-day activities, but also at the same time help people strive every day to make small steps towards a large impact in the world.
So now that people are used to technology to order, shop for everything, right from produce, electronics to handmade gifts to used clothing, vintage clothing, do you think in-person shopping is dead?
That's a really interesting question you ask. I don't think so. In short, I think that there's a lot to be said for such massive acceleration in our adoption for e-commerce as a whole this year in 2020, and I don't think that's going anywhere. I think that we'll continue to see a majority of purchases being done online even after stay-at-home orders lift and we see a relaxation in some of those restrictions, so to speak. And I think that we will continue to see that shopping online being a really prevalent part of everyone's life and part of shopping as a whole. However, I do think that shopping in person, there will always be that element in people's lives. And I think that even, you even kind of see that almost kind of a pushback towards the latter half of this year, in that, people are kind of pushing others to shop local, shop small business, and shop physical retail where you can, because small businesses are, they're struggling right now in today's day and age with the restrictions, and it's kind of tough. So I think that that'll always be a really important part of people's shopping journeys as well. I just think that shopping online will be a far greater portion of our shopping as a whole going forward. I think that'll continue to kind of take market share, so to speak, in everyone's mind. And, we want to kind of be there to power that shift towards sustainable online shopping.
Do you think in some ways Ecocart can be adopted at the physical store checkout?
So yes, I think that that is ultimately what we're thinking about every day. We're having conversations with different partners and retailers to really kind of brainstorm on what's the best way for us to offer physical retail shoppers the ability to make their order carbon neutral, because ultimately, every purchase has a carbon footprint. Even if it's not shipped specifically to your doorstep, every purchase, every activity in our world has a carbon footprint associated with it. There's a huge carbon footprint that is associated with manufacturing a particular product and all of the textiles and materials that go into a physical product itself. So I think that this is just kind of the beginning of consumers and businesses and governments all together really thinking about the carbon footprint, the consequences of their activities and how they build and operate their businesses.
Instead of calculating the carbon footprint from me as an online purchaser and the shipment coming to me, we could work backwards. What is the carbon footprint of the product coming from the source of manufacturing to the stores?
That's exactly right. Yeah. And that's what we're trying to work with and brainstorm with our merchants and our retailers, our retail partners, to figure out what the best way to do this is.
So you're a really new company. Where do you see yourself in a year from now?
Yeah, we are.
And how many people are there in your team?
Yeah, we are a very new company. And we, like I said, we started the business about 2 years ago now. But we really only kind of came to market with our products this year. And it's been less than 9 months since we first launched our Shopify app, and then our Chrome extension was shortly thereafter. And we launched that about 2 months ago now, 2.5 months ago. And we're nearing 3,000 users on the Chrome extension side. And we're really excited with the early traction that we're seeing. We have our team is very small but mighty. There's about 7 of us in total, and we're just really excited about what the future holds for us. I think as a kind of company whole perspective, we're really focused on, again, kind of powering this shift towards sustainable shopping as a whole. And we started with e-commerce. And, I think there's a lot of opportunity down the road to kind of expand that to different carbon emitting activities outside of just shopping. And we're really excited about what we can do there. I think right now we're focused very much on growth because, it seems like everything is kind of happening at light speed for us right now. We've been doubling our user base on our Chrome extension month over month for the last few months now. And I think we're really on track to continue that trend. So we're really excited about the traction that we're seeing so far.
On that really inspiring and uplifting note, thank you so much, Dane, for coming on Mindful Businesses.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to chat with you all. Last thing that I will mention is the kind of a promotion, so to speak, in that we're willing to do as a Mindful Business exclusive. We're willing to, what we'll do for the week of this airing, we'll plant a tree for every single Chrome browser plugin install that we get. And again, it's completely free to install. All you have to do is go to ecocart.io or type in Ecocart into Google or the Chrome store to install. And again, we'll plant a tree for every single install we get for the entire week of this episode airing as a Mindful Business exclusive.
Thank you again, Dane.
Absolutely.
If you're a creator of a mindful brand or would like to recommend a mindful brand to be featured on our show, please send us a message on our Facebook or Instagram page. Like, share, subscribe to Mindful Businesses on your favorite podcast listening app. For more information and insights about this episode, go to Mindful Businesses Podcast on our Instagram or our face page. This is Vidya Iyer from Mindful Businesses.